Episode number 149. Hello, you're listening to the Career Changemaker podcast. Having the courage to leave a career that you have worked hard to build and try something else can be tough. So in each episode, we dive into key career change strategies so that you have a clear understanding of what is required to transition into a new role or a new industry without feeling like you have to start at the bottom or have to take a massive pay cut, because ain't nobody got time for that. If you are ready for frank and honest discussions about how to become a career change maker, keep listening. I'm your host, lawyer turned career strategist and executive coach, Janine Esbrand. Hello, and welcome to the show. Today, I want to have a candid discussion about the fact that you have what it takes to make a career change. I know that you may have seen other people who have managed to change career. You may have read about examples of people making a career move, but that doesn't always fill you with the belief that it's possible for you to make a career move. And if you don't believe that it's possible for you to make the move, you can have all of the strategies in the world, you can have all of the guidance that is required, but you will not take the action that is needed. So it is my hope that the conversation that we have today will boost your belief in yourself and the fact that you absolutely have what it takes to carve out a career that is right for you and work in a way that complements your natural skill set, your desires, your experience, as opposed to just creating a career that you feel like you should be doing and that is based on entirely external factors. So let's dive into this conversation. I am coming on today to talk about the topic, the fact that you have what it takes to make a career change. It comes up a lot with the women that I speak to about, whether or not making a career move is possible and whether or not they should be paying attention to that right now, whether they can make it happen. There's all of these conversations that happen with me and also in your heads. And so I thought I would talk about it. And I firstly wanted to just share a story with you because I was reflecting on a client that I worked with a couple of years ago. I saw her pop up on LinkedIn recently and it brought me back to thinking about her journey and where she was at. And so she was an associate, a lawyer working at a big firm in the city, and she'd been working in her firm for a number of years, and she was doing really well in her role. She was on the partnership track. She was winning awards. She was doing brilliantly in her work and making a good impact in her firm and within the industry, right? But she had gone on maternity leave and she was at the stage where she was looking at her career and really considering whether or not the path that she was on was the path that she wanted to continue on. And as we were talking things through and really looking at what it was that she wanted to do going forward, she recognized that while she was on the partnership track and while she was doing all of the right things, she wasn't feeling like that is where she wanted to be. So to everybody else, she was doing all of the right things, but to her, she was saying, I don't think this is necessarily where I want to be. But there was a lot of resistance around potentially making a move and what that would mean for her, her lifestyle, and the impact that would have. But it was so good for me to see her pop up and see what she's doing now. And she decided to actually leave her role despite being on the partnership track and despite being in a position that lots of other people want to be in, and start up her own company within the legal space. And she is doing such amazing things, making a huge impact both here and overseas. And it's just brilliant to see that she's taken her skills and her expertise and she started something and she's building something that is very well aligned to her passions and what her mission is. And if you had asked her back when we were first talking about whether or not she would see what she's doing now as possible, she probably would have said no, because at that time, the idea that she had about, potentially starting a business seemed like such a I could do that one day, or I would love to do that one day type of thing, where it's like, oh yeah, that sounds great, but how would I actually make that happen? Like, it sounds like a big goal and she wasn't sure whether or not it was achievable back then. But now, fast forward, she's absolutely made it happen. And I'm sharing this story with you because there are many, many people that I come across and that I speak to who stay stuck in the roles that they're in and stay in the position that they know they no longer want to be in because they can't figure out the how. They can't figure out, how would I even transition into the type of role that I have in mind? How would I even make that happen? And because they don't know how they will make it happen, and because they're not able to pinpoint that, they then decide that it's not possible for them and that they're going to just stay doing what they've been doing. And so I want to talk about that today. I really want to talk about it, and I want to share some things with you and my perspective on this. Yeah, let's just talk a little bit about this whole concept of you having what it takes. When I talk about this, I'm talking about it from my perspective, in my experience as being a lawyer, climbing the ranks from being a junior lawyer all the way up. And I'm also talking about it from the perspective of clients that I've worked with and what I've seen. But what tends to happen is you are doing a role and you're working and you're showing up on a daily basis, and you're doing all of the things that you feel like you need to be doing. But somewhere along the line, you get to the place where you're doing what you're doing, but you're not actually enjoying what you're doing. And you end up pretending a lot of the time. So you're either, pretending that you're enjoying the work that you're doing, pretending that your long-term goal is to make it to the top, pretending that you feel good about this project that you're working on, when actually the reality is you don't want to be doing it. Like, I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you're doing something at work and you're spending a lot of time doing it, and then you go home and you're talking to your spouse and you're like, oh, this is so frustrating. Like, I'm doing this type of work. It does not float my boat. I'm doing this type of work and I do not enjoy it. And what ends up happening is we get into this cycle, and we get into this habit of really wanting to show up and do a good job, right? And please those who are superiors and our teammates, and we want to show up and we want to perform, and that's good, right? You've committed to doing something, so you want to make sure that you're doing it and that you're executing. But in that process, sometimes we get lost along the way. And what I mean by getting lost along the way is you're showing up and you're doing a job and you're performing, but really it's not what you want to be doing. So you're pretending that this is what I want to be doing. You're pretending because you're showing up and you're saying, yeah, like, I can do this. I can absolutely do this. But when you down tools and behind closed doors, and when you sit down at home, you're like, this isn't really it for me. So if you're showing up every day and you're pretending, and you really want to make sure that you're pleasing other people, and you're worried about what other people will think, where it's like, oh, if I don't take on this project, then they're going to think this of me. Or if I don't work late on this, then they're going to think that of me. You're worried about what other people might think if you take or don't take certain action. But it can get to the place where you're more worried about what other people think than really taking the time to figure out what you think. Like, more worried about what other people think about you showing up and what you're doing in your day to day than like what you think, because you haven't really taken the time to think, is this what I want to be doing? And if it isn't what I want to be doing, what would I do instead? And when I reflected on that, that is pretty deep, because a lot of us spend a lot of time in our careers doing things that we don't really want to be doing and pleasing people because we think that we should, but you're sacrificing how you feel on a daily basis, time and time and time again. Recently, just over a month ago, my uncle passed away, which was like out of the blue, crazy. And I was kind of, like if someone close to you, I don't know if you ever lost someone who's close to you, but you kind of reflect on them and the things, certain interactions that you've had with them and the impact that they've made on your life and different things. And I remember a conversation that we had when I was a lot younger. So when I was growing up, my brother and I used to go and stay with him and his family. And I think I was like in my early teens. And I remember him talking to my mum about a situation that had happened at his workplace where one of his colleagues was asking him to do something, and the thing they were asking him to do was not within his remit. It wasn't within his job description. It wasn't something that he was supposed to be doing, on the one hand, and also it wasn't something that he wanted to do. And so in no uncertain terms, he just told the person that he wasn't going to do it. And he just matter of fact that he wasn't going to do it. And I remember my mum's reaction, and my reaction was like, oh, is that how you said it? And he's like, yeah, that's how I said it. And we were kind of like, oh, well, what did they think? And what he said, his response to that question stuck with me. And his response was, I said what I said, and how he feels about it is his problem, not mine. How he feels about it is his problem and not mine. And that really, really impacted me, because I think, particularly as women, it's really easy for us to put other people's thoughts and feelings about a situation before our own. But many times men don't approach it in that same way, right? But when it comes to what you're doing in your work and what you're doing in your professional life, are you putting what other people's preferences are and what other people think and what other people would like you to be doing beyond or before your own? And I think it's an important question to reflect on and ponder if you have been considering making some kind of change in your career. And when I talk about career change, when you see me show up on these live streams, I'm talking about career change. It isn't necessarily like career change as in I'm going to move from doing this job and move to a completely different industry and do something else. It could be career change as in I need to move into a slightly different role, or I need to make a slight pivot, or actually I want to go for a promotion. Just making a change in your career when you know what you're doing right now isn't the right thing. And so if you are wondering, do I have what it takes to change my career? Do I have what it takes to really go from feeling frustrated on a daily basis or pretending that I'm loving this when I'm really not? Can I actually make the move? It really comes down to one thing. It really comes down to one thing. And if you conquer this one thing, everything else can follow. And it's pretty simple, but it's not easy. The one thing is a decision. Like, you absolutely have what it takes to do something different. You absolutely have what it takes to take the experience that you have, repackage it, position yourself in the marketplace and attract the right type of opportunity for you. You have what it takes. But what is required is you making a decision that that's what you're going to do. You making a decision that you're no longer going to tolerate just showing up and doing work and pretending that you're loving it when you're really not. And instead making a decision that you're going to figure out what it is that you want to be spending the majority of your time doing. Because if you've got like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years left in your career, right, the time that you're going to be working, do you want to be spending that time pretending that you're enjoying what you're doing when actually it isn't very well aligned at all? Because the alternative, what's available on the other side of that, is you working in a way that is fully aligned to you as a person. You working in a way where you show up at work and you feel like you can be yourself, where you feel like your skills are appreciated, where you feel like the value and the contribution that you're making is making the type of impact within your organization and beyond your organization. Like, it's possible for that to be a reality if you decide that that is more important to you than just toeing the line, going with the flow, and just following a path because you made a decision years ago that that's the path that you're going to take. A lot of the women that I speak to either made a decision or they fell into the role that they were in years ago, and then they've just stayed there, even though they know that that's not where they want to be. And they might have made like small moves, right? Moving from one company to another company, but within the same role, but finding that the same thing happens time and time again, and they get to the place where they feel the same. And the reason for that is you haven't really dug deep enough to understand, well, what is it that is making me unhappy in this role? What is it that isn't lighting me up? What is missing? And understanding what that is so that you're able to make a move, and the right type of move that allows you to really enjoy the work that you're doing. Like, I'm such a big proponent of, like, life is too short. Like I just mentioned to you guys that my uncle passed away out of the blue. Like, life is legit too short to just be showing up on a daily basis and doing the grind and working hard and stressing and doing all the things that come with you working in a role and progressing in a career when it isn't really something that you want to be spending your time doing. So if you've been asking yourself, do I have what it takes to make a move? Should I make a move? And you've been asking yourself those types of questions time and time again, then I am just confirming for you that you do have what it takes and giving you full permission. If you need permission from someone, I'm giving you full permission to pursue it, to like spend some time there, to pay attention to what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. Like, are you showing up on a daily basis, making certain decisions and doing certain things because you want to please other people and because there's an expectation there for you to do things in a certain way? And are you putting those thoughts and those requirements, those expectations beyond what you even think? Like, have you spent the time to really reflect on, what do I think about what it is that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis? So that's what I wanted to share with you today. You absolutely have what it takes. So take some action, because it isn't necessarily easy to unpack all of these things. But once you're able to start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, then it's easier to see how it's possible. So my client who was saying, yeah, I'd love to start a business, how do I do that? Once she was able to get her pieces all lined up and understand what the transition plan could look like, then she was a lot more confident about making that move. And so it might be that you haven't yet got the pieces of the puzzle in terms of the pathway and how it will happen for you, and that's what's keeping you where you are. But if you have a desire and you know that desire is not going away, then I think you owe it to yourself to kind of like explore it. Absolutely explore it. So that's what I have for you today. Are you ready to make bold career moves? Are you tired of coasting in a role or career that is no longer a good fit for you? Are you ready to create more of an impact through the work that you do? And are you ready to get paid more and be recognized for your brilliance? If you are nodding your head or saying yes to any of those questions, then lean in, because I'm about to tell you about my newly enhanced coaching program. The Career Changemaker program, formerly known as the Career Clarity Academy, is my signature coaching program, which is a transformational coaching experience focused on helping you to develop and advance in your career. The program will help you to clarify the type of career move that you need to make next, create an unapologetic vision for your career direction, and leverage your existing experience so that you can make the transition as quickly as possible. It's also going to equip you to articulate your value so that you can really shine and attract stellar opportunities and negotiate those amazing offers. We want to be moving you into the right role that you're really excited about as quickly as possible. I created this program and the Career Changemaker method because it pains me to see so many amazing, brilliant, talented women fall into the category of coasting female professional. And what I mean by that is there are women who are coasting through their day-to-day at work, who are complaining to loved ones about the work that they do and the environment that they're in, who are scrolling job boards looking for inspiration but not taking any action, who typically do what others think they should do rather than what they really want to do, and who feel trapped in the careers that they've built for themselves. What I really want to see is more women adopting the career changemaker status. A career changemaker is the type of woman who makes an impact through the work that she does, who is excited to talk about her upcoming projects, who knows how to network strategically to create new opportunities, who is unapologetic about what it is they want to do and why it is they want to do it, who recognizes new opportunities during seasons of change, and who is really ready to take control of her career so that she can become a trailblazer in an area that she's really passionate about. If you like the sound of becoming a career change maker, then I invite you to make an application for this program. Now, it is an application only program because I want to ensure that only the women who I know can get results will join this program so we can hit the ground running and move you to where it is you want to be. So if this sounds good to you, make an application. You want to head over to lightboxcoaching.com/program, PROGRAM. And there you're going to book a call with me and be directed to a career change assessment. Once you take the assessment, you're going to identify where it is you need to focus in the career change process. And we will have a discussion to see if the program is a good fit for you to get you there and whether you are a good fit for the program. The investment for this program is going up on the 1st of December 2021. So if you are listening to this before that time, I encourage you to book a call, make your application as soon as possible so that you can get in at the current rate. So head over to lightboxcoaching.com/program. I look forward to hearing from you. If you enjoyed listening to today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the show so that you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. Also, I would love to know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. I invite you to head over to our Career Changemaker community over on Facebook so that we can continue the conversation over there. Head over to lightboxcoaching.com/join and it will direct you straight to the group. I look forward to seeing you there.